Well, good morning. Mike Austin with you on your morning wake up. Glad to have you along as we launch your Tuesday. I say that, my wife Lisa said, how do you tell everybody what day it is? They know, not everybody does. You ever do that? You wake up and you go, what day is this? You forget because you get so much going on. Your little computer in the top of your skull just is like, I hope I'm not unique in that, forgetting what day it is. But you wake up, sometimes you think, oh yeah, oh no. And then you think it's a weekend and it's not. I don't know. So many things like that. And I forgot it was Candlemas yesterday. Forgetfulness. It does happen. Doesn't mean you're losing your mind. Doesn't mean, especially you get to a certain age, you start wondering, am I slipping? Am I slipping? And I've always been enamored with actors I've worked with who can just memorize stuff like that. I just cannot. And it's been a tough haul for that. But joining us now, every Tuesday we talk about subjects of the mind, of the soul, of life. His name is Dr. John Braccio from Regional Psychological Services, drjohnb.com on the web. Doc, you never forget anything. You're always here with us. Good morning.
Well, good morning to you. And I'll tell you, everybody forgets things, but a thing that I find interesting, it still intrigues me, is really that most people, okay, I talk to, and I'm sure it's the same with you, for a period of time seem to mention they have problems with their memory, okay?
Yep.
You know, that tends to be true. And I'm not talking about persons who are having memory problems due to dementia or Alzheimer's, but really just persons who are generally living their lives and having problems keeping track of things they feel they need to remember. So my goal here is not to make things too complicated, but simply to give people some tips on what they can do to help their memory. The first things to do are basic, eat healthy, get enough sleep, exercise, and be determined you're going to do things that will help your memory. It seems simple enough, doesn't it, Mike?
I suppose so.
But persons too often don't do this. Right. Useful things to do to improve your memory would be, keeping special places where you're going to keep keys and other things you need on a regular basis. Keep a daily list of things to do on your phone or someplace where you always have access and check it during the day. Be mindful when encountering people and information you need to remember in the future. Write down the names of persons or events you need to remember and regularly review them. Break phone numbers and other information into small parts for better and easier memorization. Visualize persons or events you want to remember. Find words that rhyme with the names you want to remember, to associate, names more readily. And revisit things you've determined that you want to remember in whatever form you use, okay? And then you also really say out loud. This can be helpful too. Just say out loud what you really need to remember and just plain believe you can remember things and do it, okay? This, again, seems simple, but again, as I said before, when you consider how many persons you run into on a regular basis complaining about their memory, and even you said you can forget what day it is, well, I think we all can do that. But it's clear they are not doing enough, persons, this is, these things that could easily help to remember better. Now, we all have a memory. How we use it effectively becomes our choice. Now, just some examples that relate to rhyming, visualizing, and associating things, okay? Mm-hmm. Examples of, rhyming, would be Joan with bone, Paul with ball, okay? Chuck, with duck. And then as far as associating, we would take like, Christian with a Christian church, brook with a flowing brook, okay? And if we want to associate, we would say with Frank Sinatra, Alice with Alice in Wonderland, Barb with Barbie doll, Cliff with a mountain cliff, Harry with a hairy ape, and on and on and on. The main thing to do, you want to associate, you want to, reiterate things, say things, visualize things, depending on the best way you learn. And if you do this, you'll find you'll be remarkably better with your memory, because everyone, like I've said, always says, golly, I can't remember what day it is. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where my keys are. I forgot to make this phone call today. And there really are strategies and things where I can't remember the name of the person. I remember faces, but I don't remember names. Things like that you hear all the time. So you just have to know, yes, you can, and just try some of these strategies to overcome the problem and improve your memory. So, and that's
Doc,
what a lot of people do.
Are we dumbing ourselves down with technology? What I mean by that is I have so many people, potential guests, all that stuff, will say, okay, yeah, Thursday you can be on at 7:08 or whatever. Or we'll have a Zoom meeting at 12:30 on Friday. I don't know why I would schedule a Zoom meeting on Friday, but I would. And they'll say, yeah, let me send you a calendar on that. And you get these Google Calendar things. Do we rely on that too much? Because if we don't write it down by hand and commit it to memory, we're not exercising our brain. Are we dumbing ourselves down with technology?
Well, I think so. I think that, again, believe it or not, I don't use that. I just, keep track of things, myself.
Yeah, me too.
What I'm going to do, where I'm going to be, and do try to always associate. Like if I meet someone, I really do. If I want to remember the name, I meet a lot of people that you just in the road of life that you're really not thinking of remembering their name. But if you are, you do want to associate it, and you want to even find a rhyme with it. Say it out loud, because people do things differently. I mean, there's nothing wrong with using technology. Technology obviously can make us stronger, make life easier, but if we just rely on technology, we're going to have times that we're going to fail. So I think if we can use technology, but we still need strategies and basic things to really help us remember, because there are so many people, and you'll run into people too, that even if you've talked to them a number of times, they'll say, I know you're a big, good-looking, tough guy, but I can't remember your name. And you say, my name's Mike. Okay. Oh, okay, Mike. They forget the name. And sometimes I just think, that they might work at that. And I can do that myself, so I don't want to say this of others. So
yeah,
we just want, and they're writing things down, re-looking at things, saying things out loud, rhyming. These are all things that we can really do. Now, if you think, Chuck and Duck, you don't want to always be thinking of a quack when you run into Chuck. But the point is,
especially if he's a doctor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I just say, doctor, excuse me, Chuck. But again, there are things that we can do, and I think if you do that, and I do this. I do in terms of remembering names, because I do try to keep track of people I'm talking to. Like I just talked to Rachel, just a very nice person, works with you. I can tell that already.
Yeah.
So you just try to, associate. You try to memorize, call it what you will. But a lot of times memorizing is so much easier if we attach things to it. Now,
right.
If you would say, Chuck with Duck, and then you forget, golly, what's his name? I remember the name Duck. I don't want to call him Duck. What is his name? So there are, and Mary with Barry. They're just things that we can do that can make things easier. And like you say, people may have an electronic calendar. Nothing wrong with that. On the other hand, you just want to make sure you have things where you have access and you keep track and you're reliable. And I think if you make a point also of wanting to remember something,
well,
and
there
then
it is.
Trying strategies, you'll be far more successful.
Isn't that funny? Just the wanting to memorize something, making a conscious decision that I want to memorize, it gives you a leg up on memorizing. Let me ask you about this. Maybe you've heard of this. And it was brought to my attention when I was trying to memorize. I had to do a monologue for a corporate video thing. And it was a couple of paragraphs, which is like death to me. And it was a big deal in Chicago, and I wanted to, knock it out of the park. Buddy of mine who's an actor full time, like big time. He does big stuff. And he said, you know what I do is when I get a script, I hand write it out again. I go, but you already have the script in front of you. Don't you just look at the words? He says, there's a thing when you hand write, it comes, and it sounds weird. Tell me if you've heard of this, Doc. Goes through your hand, up your arm. Cognitively, the act of physically writing something down in your own handwriting it helps to stick it in your brain. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, and I think that's a good strategy. I mean, I think that's a good strategy anytime. Particularly, and people learn differently. There are people like my son, believe it or not. We can go to a movie or see a movie or something, and he'll be quoting dialogue exactly right afterwards that he found interesting.
Yep.
So that, this. My name is Gladiator, whatever it might be. And some movies are, whatever. But everybody has different skills. Some people memorize, they hear things. Other people see them. Other people writing them down. Writing them down is another way of reinforcing. I did mention that too, by the way, here. So yes, that could be a good thing. And then anchor points too, if you get into memorizing a lot of things too, in sentences, keywords. And then you just the other words could kind of fall into place for you. But everybody, we're all different. And the thing that intrigues me, though, is how people will live a life, maybe most people, and we're talking about memory here, and they don't pick up tricks, what are called a trick or techniques or strategies to improve the memory. It's like a phone number. If you take a phone number and you break it into parts like 000, then 0000, 000. You actually have three parts that you're looking at, and in cadence you can work at that. Where if you just hear seven numbers, 00000, it tends to be a lot harder to do. So and you'll find that people, if you talk to somebody who really seems to have a good memory, that unusually good, you will often find they do these things, even if they do it unconsciously. They just want to make sure that they're going to remember something. And then another thing, let's say you really do have a memory that you have problems with, as you lead the road of life, then you really do want to have a place where you keep your keys. They're always in the same place, You want to have a count. Now, this is where electronic can help you. If you have 8 things to do on a given day that you want to get done, and this also helps with ADHD, I might add. But you just keep track somewhere that you look at it every day, your iPad, computer, phone, written down somewhere. Because so many people at the end of the day say, "Oh my goodness, I forgot to call Chucky, Chuck the duck." I forgot to do this. And the best way to deal with that is plan, have strategy. It's like if you want to go somewhere quickly, you take a car. And if you want to keep track of what you're going to do in a given day, you will put that on your phone or somewhere and be looking at it. Because a lot of times, memory is not so much that the person does have an unusually good memory where they can just be quoting, Shakespeare, this is the poetry, I don't know it be true. They just have learned strategies that help them be more effective. And actors do a lot of that type things too.
Yeah. Dr. John Braccio. It's an interesting study on memory. You find little tips, little tricks, and ways to cope. And it doesn't mean you're losing your mind. It just I've only got so much hard drive in my brain cells, and I sweep other stuff out and I keep other stuff, and it's organization. Hey Doc, we're way up on time. I appreciate your candor this morning though, and thanks a lot as always. And I'll remember to have you back on. We'll have you back. I'll remember that next Tuesday. I'll have you back on. I'll remember it. Have a great day. Thanks a lot.
Okay, buddy. Bye-bye.
See ya. 1320 WILS. I write stuff down. I have sticky notes. I got all of my passwords. My web guy is like, "What are you doing? That's such an old man thing to do. What are you going to do if you lose that?" I've got a book of passwords for everything that I have. And it's right here. It's in my... Yep. All right, fine. Mike Austin with you in your morning wake up, 723. Warming up, we don't have to warm up too much more. 17 is where we are. We're going up to 19 today. The roads look pretty good so far. In fact, I think we're pushing 20 degrees now. Yep, I just updated 20 degrees in Lansing. So we're as warm as you're going to get today. Warm up for the weekend, though. This is pretty good. Brian Wheeler up after the news. We'll be right back before we get to that. A couple of things for you. 1320 WILS. Welcome to your breakfast here this morning on your morning wake up. Mike Austin back in just a second.